Shut up and sit down.
What's the story, Internet? What's the story, Internet? Hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. At least a better day than I'm having. Today should have been a joyous day. We'll talk about the Premier League, talk about the Europa League final, but we'll get to my misery later on. But let's start with the Premier League, because that's at least a happier subject. So the Premier League finished on Sunday. All of the games kicked off at the same time, and even though Manchester City had been crowned champions weeks ago, there was still a lot up for grabs in the European places. So West Ham still had the opportunity to get in, Leicester still had the opportunity to get in, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs were still in with a shout, a very good glint of hope. So there was a lot to play for on that day, just because of the European places. So the big matches I want to talk about, obviously I'm going to mention Manchester United. They beat Wolves, but Manchester City beating Everton 5-0, that knocked the wind out of their sails a little bit. Even if they had won, it would only have put them into the European Conference League, but still, a European trip is a European trip. And then Liverpool beating Crystal Palace 2-0. Aston Villa beating Chelsea 2-1. Now that should have knocked Chelsea out of the Champions League places. However, Tottenham got a 4-2 win against Leicester City, and that knocked them into the Europa League. So it finished Manchester City on first, Manchester United in second, Liverpool in third, then Chelsea, then Leicester, then West Ham, and then Tottenham. So City, United, Liverpool and Chelsea are all in the Champions League spaces. Leicester and West Ham are in the Europa League spaces, so great news for them, even though it's not the Champions League, but still a European trip for them. And then Tottenham end up in the conference. St Totteringham's Day, very hard for me to say because I'm not an Arsenal fan, never happened because Arsenal finished below Spurs. And then the three teams that got relegated, it had been decided already, but Fulham, West Brom and Sheffield United. A bit of a shock from Sheffield United. They had a good couple of results towards the end of the season. If they'd done better the rest of the season, then I think they would have been in a better place. But and then the race for the Golden Boot was Harry Kane, and he also finished the top assist maker as well. So 23 goals, 14 assists. Closely followed by Salah on 22 goals and Bruno Fernandes on 18 goals, and then Bruno Fernandes on 12 assists and Kevin De Bruyne on 12 assists. So very well played for Harry Kane. Him and Son had a very good partnership all year, and it looks like he's leaving. So Spurs could be in trouble next season. Son, obviously a great player, they can build a team around him, but Harry Kane has just been so reliable for them. Whether he goes to City, whether he goes to United, wherever he ends up, I'm sure he's going to do fantastic. So that was the Premier League. Obviously, Leicester won the FA Cup, and then so at least they did win some silverware, even if they didn't end up in the Champions League spaces. So, and then I was going to talk about the teams that are coming up from the Championship, but I think I'm going to save that for another video, probably after the Euros. I want to do sort of a Premier League preview video and talk about the teams that are going to come up, since I just talked about the ones that are going to be relegated. So I'll save that for another day. Now, unfortunately, I do have to talk about the Europa League. So Manchester United versus Villarreal. Villarreal got first blood off of a free kick. And then Cavani equalised about 15 minutes after half-time. Manchester United had some gilt-edge opportunities, some nailed-on opportunities to score goals. and they just couldn't finish the dinner. So it went to extra time, and in extra time we looked very, very shaky. I don't want to blame individual players, but Fred was playing some dangerous balls, going backwards a lot instead of going forwards. And then it went to penalties. Now, as an Englishman, I am genetically inclined to hate penalties. Ever since the 90 World Cup, which is the World Cup when I was born, I think it's just one of those things where it's just been ingrained in me to hate penalties. So it went the distance, and ended up with the goalkeepers taking penalties. Now, again, don't want to blame individuals. It's a very difficult job. I would never, ever in a million years be a goalkeeper. But there were some penalties that David De Gea just made silly decisions on. And there was one he got his hand to and he just didn't have enough hand strength to push it round the post. But the big one was the penalty that he missed. Well, it wasn't missed, but it was saved. And can't blame it all on one player, because as a team game, you would think that they would have got the job done. But yeah, it just... a sad way to go out. Penalties are just cruel. Cruel. So... Unai Emery wins his trophy again, first trophy in Villarreal's history, so got to be happy for them in that. One funny side of things, even though I'm still a bit depressed because of the result, there was a statistic that if every single member of the population of Villarreal were sat in Old Trafford, there'd be 26,000 empty seats. Because Old Trafford is 76,000 capacity, there's only 50-odd thousand people that live there, so... that was a funny statistic. So, but Villarreal, even though they finished 7th in Spain, this is the beauty of football. You get underdog stories like this. So, and just because Manchester United were the favourites, and just because it was the same date as Matt Busby's birthday, and just because it was the same date as when we won the Champions League in 1999, doesn't mean anything. It's who performs on the day. Manchester United rued their chances. Some fantastic penalties, but just rued the chances in the actual match. So that's going to be it for league football. Obviously, we've got the Champions League coming up this weekend. Manchester City versus Chelsea. Should be an interesting match. I think it's going to be a tough one to call, because it's just very difficult. Obviously, if I remember correctly, Chelsea won last time these two played, because it wasn't that long ago, I don't think. Let me just have a look here. I remember they played each other in the... Chelsea beat City at the Etihad on my birthday, actually, on the 8th of May. And that was the last meeting of the two. So City will want to enact some revenge, just like Chelsea did to Leicester after they lost in the FA Cup. They beat them in the league the next time out. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because neutral ground, it's in Portugal. And it's so hard to call. Pep Guardiola is obviously very good at these games, and he's desperate to win the Champions League with City. But Thomas Tuchel, nothing to be sniffed at. I mean, the things that he did at Dortmund and at PSG can't be ignored. So, I think it's just going to be one of those, from a neutral standpoint, I think it's going to be a good game, but I think it's going to be a tactically good game. If you're watching it to watch attacking prowess, it's not going to happen. I think it's maybe going to end the same way as the Europa League, go to penalties. I can see it being a 1-1, maybe a 2-1. It's going to be very, very tactical. So we'll have to see. I think the difference makers are going to be Kante and Kevin De Bruyne, and whether Kante can cancel out the City players, whether Kevin De Bruyne can put on a masterclass as he's done, and set up the likes of Sergio Aguero and Gabriel Jesus. So we'll have to see. I'm going to predict that it's actually going to be Chelsea, and I think that City's wait is going to continue, and I think that this could also force Pep Guardiola out, especially with some big jobs opening, like Inter Milan and Real Madrid. Zinedine Zidane announcing that he was leaving. I think that he could see that as the opportunity to go and win the Champions League elsewhere, just like when he left Bayern Munich. Just putting it out there, you never know. I'm not saying that he's going to get sacked, but just putting it out there. So, So yeah, so that'll do it from me. Next week, I'm going to take a little bit of a break from videos, but next week I am going to try and do a video about the Euros. I'm going to try and do a couple of videos about the Euros, maybe some about the groups. I'm going to do one where I simulate the tournament on FIFA and see who FIFA decides is going to win. And then I'll probably do a video where I do my bracket and say who I think is going to win. So yeah, so that'll do it for today. In the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and keeping out of trouble. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the Champions League, wherever you're watching it from. And I will see you in the next round of videos for the Euros. So until then, ta-ra for now.